There is a reason you feel hollow after the endless calls, the constant favors, the messages you answer, even when your chest is tight with exhaustion. There is a reason you fall into bed at night, not fulfilled, but drained, not whole, but scattered. You think you are being kind. You think you are being supportive. You think you are being strong. But what you are really doing is selling pieces of your soul to anyone who asks for them. The cost of being available to everyone is that you vanish from yourself. Carl Jung warned that when you live only for the outer world, you become a mask, a persona, a hollow figure shaped by the demands of others. And the persona is a lie. It is the costume you wear so people approve of you, even as your real self suffocates beneath it. Every yes you say when you wanted to say no, every boundary you erase so someone else can be comfortable, every time you betray your own needs to appear selfless, you feed the persona while starving your soul. And the world will applaud you for it. They will call you reliable, dependable, generous. They will clap as you bleed. They will celebrate your availability because it serves them, not you. They will cheer as you burn yourself down to keep them warm. Do you see it? The world does not reward wholeness. The world rewards usefulness. And when you are available to everyone, you stop being a self and you become a tool. Look at history. Slavery was not only chains and whips, it was availability. The slave's body was always available to work, to serve, to be used. Modern slavery is psychological. When you live as though your time, your energy, your mind, your very being belongs to others, you are no less enslaved. The chains are invisible, but they are there. Aldous Huxley warned us of a future where people would not be forced into submission, but would submit willingly, numbed by comfort, distracted by trivialities, eager to give themselves away. That future is here. You do not need a master to enslave you. You enslave yourself by giving everything away until nothing remains. And why? Because deep down you fear rejection. You fear being seen as selfish. You fear disappointing others more than you fear betraying yourself. You confuse sacrifice with love and obedience with loyalty. You confuse martyrdom with meaning. But listen carefully. When you are available to everyone, you are available to no one in truth. Because a divided self cannot give deeply. A fractured soul cannot love fully. A burned out mind cannot create, cannot dream, cannot rise. You become a ghost of yourself, endlessly present, but never alive. Jung spoke of individuation, the process of becoming whole, of uniting the conscious and unconscious into one true self. But individuation requires separation. It requires saying no. It requires withdrawing your energy from the endless noise of others so you can hear the voice of your own soul. Most people will never do this. They will live and die as masks, praised for their availability while their real self withers unseen. They will confuse approval for love, obligation for purpose, busyness for meaning, and they will never taste freedom. But you who feel this truth burning in your chest, you are being called to awaken, to see that every yes you give without soul is a theft, to see that availability is not love, but erasure, to see that the cost of serving everyone is losing the one person you were born to serve first, yourself. Mindset is the battlefield. You were taught that self-sacrifice is virtue. But there is nothing virtuous about betraying your own being. There is nothing holy about living as a doormat. There is nothing noble about extinguishing your flame so others may never face the dark. The world does not need your ashes. The world needs your fire, but a fire cannot burn if it is scattered into 1,000 dying sparks. Belief is the weapon. The belief that you are worthy of your own time, your own energy, your own boundaries. The belief that saying no is not cruelty, but clarity. The belief that your soul is sacred and guarding it is your highest duty. Without belief, you will keep surrendering because you will not see your own worth. Clarity follows. Clarity to see who truly values you and who only values what you give. Clarity to distinguish between those who honor your light and those who feed on it. Clarity to recognize that not everyone deserves access to you, and that scarcity is what makes your presence powerful. Vision ignites. Vision of the life you could live if your energy was no longer drained by the endless demands of others. Vision of what you could create, who you could become, how high you could rise if your light was focused instead of scattered. Vision of a soul unchained, living not in fragments but in wholeness. Purpose anchors it, because when you know your purpose, you stop saying yes to everything. You stop scattering yourself in every direction. Purpose cuts through noise. Purpose says, this is my path, and only what serves it deserves my energy. Discipline enforces it, because the world will not respect your boundaries unless you do. They will test you, push you, demand you, and every time you give in, you teach them you are available. Discipline is the line you draw and hold, even when they call you cold, even when they call you selfish. Better to be called selfish than to lose yourself entirely. Action makes it real. Action is the no you speak. Action is the message you do not answer at midnight. Action is the invitation you decline. Action is the life you build in the space you reclaim. Action is the proof that your soul belongs to you, not to the endless hunger of the world. Gratitude transforms it. Gratitude that you now see the truth. Gratitude that you can still change. Gratitude that every no creates space for deeper yeses. Yes to creation, yes to purpose, yes to love that does not drain but uplifts. Adaptability sharpens it, because life will change, demands will shift, and the world will always try to drag you back into the noise. Adaptability means you guard your center no matter the storm. Resilience protects it, because they will not stop asking, they will not stop pulling, they will not stop guilting you. But resilience means you do not break. You rise, you hold, you stand firm. And learning completes it, because the deeper you study yourself, the more you realize availability is not love. Obedience is not purpose. Self-erasure is not virtue. The soul demands sovereignty, not sacrifice. So I tell you now, the cost of being available to everyone is your own soul. And nothing, no approval, no praise, no fleeting validation is worth that price. Withdraw, protect, reclaim. Burn not as a scattered spark, but as a focused flame. Let the world call you selfish. Let them call you cold. Let them call you unreachable. Better to be unreachable and whole than endlessly available and dead inside. Because when you stop being available to everyone, something extraordinary happens. You become available to yourself. And in that availability, your soul awakens, your vision sharpens, your purpose ignites. You stop scattering your light and you begin to shine. And that shine, that wholeness, that sovereign fire is worth more than all the approval in the world. The greatest illusion you have been sold is that your worth is measured by your usefulness to others. From childhood, you were rewarded for compliance, for obedience, for being available on command. When you pleased, you were praised. When you resisted, you were punished. And so, little by little, you learned that love was conditional, that belonging required sacrifice, that safety was purchased by betraying yourself. You carried that conditioning into adulthood. You became the one who always answers the phone, who always shows up, who always gives when you have nothing left to give, and secretly you hoped that if you gave enough, someone would finally give back. But they never do, because the world is not designed to reward martyrs. The world is designed to consume them. Carl Jung warned us. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. And one of the easiest ways they avoid it is by using you. By making you available to carry their burdens, soothe their wounds, solve their crises. They drain you, not because they are evil, but because you allow it. Because being needed feels like proof of worth. But here is the cruel irony. The more available you are, the less you are valued. The more you give, the more people take. The more you sacrifice, the more invisible you become. In the beginning, they praise your generosity. In the end, they expect it. And when you finally collapse under the weight, they do not weep for you. They look for the next soul willing to be used. History is littered with the bodies of the available. Soldiers sacrificed not for their vision, but for the vision of leaders who never cared for them. Workers who spent their lives in factories, their hours always available, their youth consumed, their souls forgotten. Women who gave every part of themselves to family, to children, to husbands, until they no longer recognized their own reflection. The world builds monuments not for the martyrs who bled quietly, but for the few who had the courage to say no, to withdraw, to protect their fire. This is why the masses admire those who are untouchable, the leaders who do not answer every call, the visionaries who vanish into solitude, the creators who close their doors and emerge only when their work is ready. We do not admire them because they are selfish. We admire them because they guard their energy like treasure, and treasure is always scarce. Do you understand? Your constant availability destroys your value. Scarcity is not cruelty. Scarcity is power. Diamonds are precious because they are rare. Your presence should be no different, and yet the fear rises in you. If I am not available, will they abandon me? That is the shadow you must face, the terror of rejection, of being unloved, if you are not endlessly useful. But ask yourself, is it love if it requires your destruction? Is it belonging if it demands your erasure? Is it loyalty if it only exists while you bleed? No, that is not love. That is transaction. That is exploitation dressed as devotion. And if you continue to feed it, you will die with a smile on your face and emptiness in your soul, praised by everyone but unknown to yourself. Belief must break the chains. Believe that your worth is not in what you give away, but in who you are. Believe that you can withdraw without losing love, because true love never demanded your destruction. Believe that your soul was not born to be currency for other people's comfort. Clarity will follow belief. Clarity to see who is truly with you and who is only with what you provide. Clarity to recognize that those who vanish when you set boundaries were never yours to begin with. Clarity to see that your soul is not selfish but sovereign. Vision sharpens next. Vision of a life where your time is yours, your energy is focused, your soul is nourished. Vision of creation, of purpose, of work that will outlast you impossible if you keep scattering yourself into the endless demands of the present. Purpose ignites, and once purpose burns, availability dies. Because the man on a mission does not stop for every request. The woman on a path does not bow to every distraction. Purpose makes you ruthless, because purpose makes you whole. But purpose without discipline is fantasy. And discipline means you must endure the guilt, the disapproval, the anger of those who thrived on your availability. They will call you selfish. They will call you arrogant. They will call you cold. But discipline means you hold the line, because better to be called selfish by others than to betray yourself forever. Action seals it. Action is silence when they demand a response. Action is distance when they demand your presence. Action is creation when they demand consumption. Action is the courage to choose yourself over their endless hunger. And gratitude transforms it. Gratitude that every no you speak is a yes to your own soul. Gratitude that every boundary frees you from invisible chains. Gratitude that you now see what few ever see, that your availability was your slavery and your withdrawal is your liberation. Adaptability strengthens it, because the world will adapt to your boundaries, or it will remove itself. Those who value you will rise to meet you. Those who only used you will fall away. Either way, you win. Resilience anchors it, because some days you will weaken. Some days you will be tempted to go back, to please, to sacrifice, to betray yourself. But resilience is standing firm in the storm, holding your flame even as the winds howl against you. And learning completes it. learning that the soul is not nourished by approval, but by alignment, learning that your true work cannot be done if you are scattered, learning that solitude is not loneliness, but power. The cost of being available to everyone is your own soul, and the reward of being available to yourself is everything. Withdraw, guard your fire, let them call you selfish, let them call you distant, let them call you hard. Because history remembers not the ones who were always available, but the ones who were untouchable, the ones who protected their vision, the ones who chose the soul over the crowd. And when you do the same, you will find what you have been searching for all along. Not approval, not validation, not endless connection, but wholeness. The soul unbroken, the self unfractured, the fire burning steady, untouchable, eternal. The world will tell you that availability is virtue, but beneath that praise is a hidden demand. Be less so we can be more. Every empire, every system of power, every collective force thrives on individuals who silence their own souls in service of something external. This is why religions exalt saints who gave up their entire being, why governments glorify the soldier who dies on command, why corporations praise the worker who sacrifices health, family, and years without question. They call it loyalty, they call it honor, but stripped bare, it is obedience. And obedience is the slow death of the self. Nietzsche warned against this herd morality, the morality that praises self-erasure as goodness. He wrote, "You crowd together with your neighbor and have beautiful words for it. But I tell you, your love of your neighbor is your bad love of yourselves." He saw it clearly. What is praised as selflessness is often just fear of solitude, fear of standing apart, fear of choosing one's own path. But greatness never comes from the available. Greatness comes from the unavailable, the untouchable, the ones who withdraw into solitude long enough to hear their own voice over the roar of the crowd. Every prophet vanished into wilderness. Every philosopher retreated into silence. Every creator closed their door to the world. Availability does not create, it consumes. Unavailability is the womb of transformation. Jung understood this as individuation, the painful separation from the expectations of others, the death of the persona, the confrontation with the shadow, and the birth of the true self. But individuation demands distance. You cannot become yourself while you are scattered into 1,000 pieces of everyone else's demands. You must withdraw, you must disappoint. You must die to the person they think you are in order to be reborn as the person you are. Do you know why you feel restless even when surrounded by people? Why you feel empty even when your calendar is full? Because you are not living your life, you are living theirs. You are a mirror reflecting what they need, while your own reflection fades. And yet, solitude terrifies you, because in solitude you meet yourself. And when you have betrayed yourself for years, meeting yourself feels unbearable. You see the wasted time, the false agreements, the wounds you ignored. You hear the voice you drowned out. And for many, that confrontation is too much. So they run back into the noise, back into availability, back into scattering themselves until they forget again. But the brave, the rare few, they stay. They sit in the silence until it burns, and then until it cleanses. They let the grief surface. They let the shadow rise. They let the illusions die. And from that furnace, they emerge whole. Think of Machiavelli, exiled from Florence, stripped of influence, forgotten by power. In his solitude, he wrote The Prince, the book that outlived every ruler of his time. His withdrawal gave birth to a work that still shapes politics centuries later. Or Nietzsche himself, alone in the Alps, consumed by sickness and isolation, yet birthing words so explosive they still ignite minds across the world. Isolation was his crucifixion, but also his resurrection. You fear saying no because you fear being forgotten. But history remembers not the always present, but the rarely available. It remembers the ones who withdrew long enough to create something eternal. The crowd dissolves into dust. The solitary work endures. So ask yourself, What will endure from you? The countless favors you gave, the endless calls you answered, the years you spent being useful to others at the expense of yourself? Or will it be the vision you carved, the truth you spoke, the fire you protected, the soul you refused to sell? Mindset is the foundation. The shift from I must be needed to I must be whole. The shift from my worth is service to my worth is sovereignty. The shift from I fear rejection to I embrace solitude. And belief gives you the courage to hold the line. Belief that you are not selfish, but sacred. Belief that the world will not collapse if you withdraw. Belief that those who truly matter will rise to meet you when you set boundaries. Clarity comes like lightning. You begin to see how many have fed on your availability without ever feeding your soul. You see the parasites dressed as friends, the manipulators dressed as lovers, the exploiters dressed as leaders. And once you see, you cannot unsee. Vision grows. You start to taste the life that would be possible if you stopped scattering yourself. You imagine what you could build if you reclaimed your hours, your energy, your mind. That vision begins to pull you harder than the demands of the crowd ever did. Purpose ignites, and purpose makes you untouchable. Because the man on fire with purpose cannot be swayed by guilt trips, by manipulation, by the endless cries of the world. He is no longer available for everything because he is consumed by the one thing that matters. Discipline hardens it because the world will resist your withdrawal. They will protest. They will call you selfish, arrogant, cold. They will test your boundaries again and again. Discipline means you do not bend. Discipline means you learn to disappoint others without flinching. Action seals it. Every no is an action. Every unanswered demand is an action. Every hour you reclaim for your own soul is an action, and those actions stack into sovereignty. Gratitude transforms it. Gratitude for the freedom you feel when you realize your energy belongs to you. Gratitude that you no longer carry chains disguised as kindness. Gratitude that your solitude is no longer empty, but alive with possibility. Adaptability keeps it alive, because the demands of the world will shift. New manipulators will appear. New masks will test you. Adaptability ensures you keep adjusting, keep protecting, keep guarding. Resilience keeps you unshaken, because there will be days you want to go back, days you crave the false comfort of being needed. Resilience is the voice that reminds you, better to be alone and whole than surrounded and broken. And learning makes you immortal. Because the more you learn, the more you realize the soul cannot thrive in availability. The soul thrives in sovereignty. The soul thrives in solitude. The soul thrives in saying no to the world and yes to itself. The cost of being available to everyone is your own soul, but the reward of choosing yourself is eternity. Withdraw, protect, reclaim. Let them call you cold. Let them call you selfish. Let them call you distant. Better to be distant and whole than near and dead. Because when you stop being available to everyone, you become available to the only one who truly matters, yourself. And from that place, you rise untouchable, unshakable, unforgettable. There comes a moment when you realize that the endless giving was never love, that the constant availability was never virtue, that the praise you received for sacrificing yourself was only applause for your obedience. And in that moment, something inside you breaks, not in weakness, but in awakening. You see that every yes you gave without soul was a betrayal. You see that every time you made yourself available, you sold a fragment of your essence for scraps of approval. You see that the world never wanted you, it only wanted what you could provide. And the weight of that truth burns, but it also liberates. Because if they never loved you, only your usefulness, then you lose nothing by withdrawing. If their loyalty was to your availability, not your essence, then you lose nothing by saying no. If their praise required your destruction, then you lose nothing by disappointing them. The only thing you gain is yourself, and that is everything. Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." But you cannot become who you are if you are endlessly available to what others demand you be. You cannot hear your soul if your ears are filled with the noise of their expectations. You cannot rise if you are always kneeling. So you rise, you close the door, you silence the noise, you let the calls go unanswered, the demands unmet, the guilt uncarried. At first they rage, at first they protest, at first they call you selfish, arrogant, cold. But in time the truth emerges. Those who only loved your usefulness disappear, and those who truly love your essence remain. And in that space, the space you reclaimed by withdrawing your soul speaks. You hear it for the first time in years, the voice that says, "This is who I am. This is where I go. This is what I was meant to build." And with that voice, clarity comes. Purpose ignites. Vision sharpens. Action follows. And suddenly, the years you spent scattered collapse into one point of focus, one radiant fire that no one can extinguish. This is sovereignty. This is individuation. This is the wholeness you were always seeking but could never find while you were available to everyone but yourself. The cost of being available to everyone is your own soul, and the reward of guarding your soul is everything the world once promised you in falsehood love: meaning, power, peace, not given by them but born within you. So let them call you selfish, let them call you cold, let them call you untouchable. They do not understand, and they never will, because they are still scattering themselves into dust, while you are gathering yourself into fire. And in the end, the ones who are always available vanish without memory. But the ones who guard their soul, the ones who withdraw, the ones who burn steady and whole, they are remembered forever. So choose: the crowd or the soul, the noise or the silence, the mask or the fire. Choose and live.